We're part of the local society called the Atlanta Society of Finance and Investment Professionals. So first I'm going to have Lashonda talk to you about investing in yourself. Lashonda works for Wells Fargo in corporate finance.
This chart is basically your life. It's a pure reflection of what life looks like. On the left side, you've got the blue bars, and that reflects human capital. So that's all the potential that you have to offer. You can see you guys are probably right here on the front end at the zero. You're just starting your careers or about to start. And you see how high the bars are? That reflects all that you have to offer. And then the right side, the red part, that's financial assets. That's usually pretty low on this end because you haven't really started your careers, and it increases over time. The blue part is always true. The red part depends on what you do with the blue part and how you invest it. So you see the bar is high, you see you have a lot to offer. How do you maximize that? And you can see that when you get a full-time offer. You get a salary, people are willing to pay you a lot of money, but you have no experience and you've never really worked anywhere. And when we hire, for example, college interns, they come into our office, we pay them a full-time salary. They're not saving lives, they're not really changing the world, but we pay them like they are because we see a lot of potential in them and we want to develop that. And we know that over time, they're really going to add value to the bottom line for our company. So you have to make sure that you are investing your human capital wisely so that you will have the financial assets that you can build to live a better life on the back end. In terms of investing you, I think the one that's most obvious is education. You all probably kind of got that. You're here, so you need to invest in your education. There are a couple of other topics or a couple of other areas that we recommend that you invest in. It's a part of investing in your whole self and being a complete person, being completely happy. So a couple that may not be on your radar: health and contentment. And we'll talk a little bit more about those, but we'll start with education, which is the more obvious one and the one that really applies to where you are right now. So anybody recognize this guy? Anybody ever seen him before? Right. Think this might be someone you'd take investment advice from? Seemed like a good source. And he says the best investment you can make is in yourself. And note at the bottom, education is not a bucket to be filled. Rather, it's a fire to keep burning. So that's one of the things we want to spend a little time on. You think you go to college, you get your degree, I'm done. I'm going to get a great job. I'm going to be successful in life. That is step one. But as you talk about keeping that fire burning, there are a lot of other things that you can do to continue to further your education. Don't think that once you finish here that you are done learning. When I was a kid, so neither of my parents have college degrees. And so when I was a kid, they were very focused on, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a bachelor's degree so that you can get a job. So I have a 5-year-old now, and we're telling her a master's degree when she graduates is going to be like a freaking GED. You are really going to have to be highly educated to be successful. And so when you get out of college, think about what else you need to be doing. If it's a master's degree, if it's a certification, if it's foreign languages, if it's publications and readings, other things that you can be doing to continue to learn about your profession and continue to better yourself. Keep in mind, it's a fire to keep burning. So you have to focus on it. You have to invest in it. And that means investing the money, but also investing the time. So we have this slide and a couple more. I want to give you some statistics. If you look on the far right end, I'd highlight, look at the difference between the earnings potential for a person with a degree and people who do not have college degrees. And if you notice the trend, so over here, this was before baby boomers, 1965, there was not as much value maybe in having a college degree. Look at the far end of the chart. Look at how wide the gap is. And we're just talking about right out of college. This is just when you get out of college, you're a few years into your career. Look how meaningful the difference is in the salary. And that just continues to grow over time. So the point here is investing in education pays off. Think about delayed gratification. You know, you have friends who may be working full time now and they probably have more money than you have. But over time, the growth is not the same. The potential is not the same. When I graduated college, one of my dad's friends, I got my first job. I was working at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Houston. I was all excited. And I was getting an apartment. I did not have a ton of money, but I had a salary. And my dad's friend said, that's all she gonna make? All that schooling, that's all she gonna make? I make that working offshore. What he didn't appreciate was that, 20 years later, he makes about the same amount of money working offshore. And within a year, you get a raise. And then a couple of years, you get another raise and a bonus. And your potential continues to grow. And your salary continues to grow. So there's that delayed gratification, but the gap widens over time. And you just have to appreciate that as you continue to invest in the education. So this one, more of the same. just shows you some of the benefits of having the bachelor's degree versus not having the bachelor's degree. So this talks about living in poverty. I think, for millennials, you don't live in poverty. You actually just go back and live with your parents. So this slide is probably more motivational for your parents, the people who are paying your tuition. Tell them it's worth it because you're less likely to live at home with them if you graduate and get a job. And we have one more stat to show you. Same concept. You make more money typically the more highly educated you are. You start at the bottom, less than a high school diploma, go all the way up to doctoral degree, professional degree. That's where people are making the most money on average. And then if you look to the right side, you look at this green bar chart, these people are also less likely to be unemployed or be unemployed for a shorter period of time. So not only are you making more money, you're making more money over a longer period of time. So that's how those red bars get higher and higher. You accumulate more financial assets over a longer period of time, so you have more money to spend over the long run. I mean, it's not rocket science. You probably already know this, but this is the data to back it up. And this goes back to the conversation about keeping the fire burning. Like, what are some different ways that you can continue to invest in yourself? Everybody here is going to get a bachelor's. You're enrolled in a 4-year program. So we've listed a few items here: advanced degree certifications, workshops, white papers, all kinds of ways to continue to learn. I was at a conference once and the speaker said, be a student of your profession. Basically, continue to learn. You should be continuously learning because you don't want to fall behind the curve. And then as you think about all these professional degrees, I was saying my daughter, needs to get at least her GED, which will be a master's when she graduates. I have a bachelor's, I have an MBA, I have a CPA, I have a CFA charter, and guess what? I don't look that different from everybody else physically I look different, but on paper, I don't look different from the people in the office. Everybody, CPAs, CFA charter holders. So if you want to be competitive, you have to be thinking about how you can continue to further your education and better yourself, because the competitive landscape is unbelievable at this point. Next slide, please. So we are going to transition a bit. I think we've kind of beat that dead horse about education. I think you guys get it. And we'll transition a little bit into health and why that's important. We talk about investing in your whole self. And so you spend all this time training your brain, and then it'd be a shame if your body just failed on you. So you can't do it without being physically healthy as well. And that's an important aspect. So think about, there are a few basics that the body needs. You need food, you need rest, and you need exercise. And so one of the things we highlight is making healthy choices in terms of food and where you eat and what you eat. I won't judge you. I know you guys are young, you're college students, so you may not have the best diets. I won't talk about you. I used to have my social beverages served out of a trash can at the Q parties, and now I won't eat. Now I won't eat at a restaurant if the health rating is below a 95. I'm like, I'm not going in there. So I won't judge you. But as you think about what you eat, try to find some balance. Find a little balance. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. The physical is just important as the mental. And then now we have a few scare tactics up here. So this is a chart that shows prevalence of heart disease. It's very prevalent across America. It's very prevalent within the African American community. So there are a lot of things you can do to combat that. Being, healthier diet, exercising regularly. We recommend all those things. If that didn't scare you, we'll talk about the financial aspect of it. We are numbers people because we're CFA charter holders, and it's one of the leading causes of bankruptcies, medical bills. You wouldn't think that. But a lot of people have medical bills that they just can't cover. So just living a healthier lifestyle, taking care of yourself, and then of course managing your credit. And Dustin will talk about some of these other risks and things that you need to manage, but managing your credit, managing your expenses, but managing your lifestyle, leading a healthy lifestyle could also save you money. This one we can send to you if you want to see it. You'd be surprised how many of your unhealthy habits cost you money that you could be saving and you could be investing. When we get to Dustin's section, you could be using that or investing that money to spend later on vacations. And it's little things like sugary drinks, like soft drinks. If you're consuming too many soft drinks, you could actually save that money, invest it. Dustin could run a model for you and show you how much money you could have over 10 years if you took all your Starbucks money or all of your Coke money and invested it over an extended period of time with compounded interest. So this just shows you some of the things. It could benefit you in two ways. You have more money saved or invested, and you also have maybe a better health situation. So thinking about those things in terms of what the trade-offs are, I think that's important. This one you may not care as much about, but we care about. It just shows that you're actually a higher risk to your employer. If you're an unhealthy person, it costs more for health insurance. It costs them more for health insurance. It costs you more for health insurance. So there are a lot of ways that it impacts your financial situation. It's not just you, and it's not just how you look or how you feel, but it's also, there's a real financial impact that can be quantified there. So I found this quote and really liked it. Research shows that there's not a huge difference between people's situations that drives their happiness. So you meet a person, you think, oh, that person is really happy. And you meet a person who's not really happy. Usually their situations are not that different. That's not what's creating. You think, oh, they must have everything they want, or they must have a lot of money, or they must have a very convenient lifestyle. That does not necessarily drive happiness. It's really more a mindset. It's more a state of mind. So I would say, don't be fooled by Snapchat or Instagram. I don't care how happy those pictures look on there. If you see them on the yard and they're always giving somebody the side eye, or they're always complaining about something, they're a naturally unhappy person, and you control that. So you think about, what's your mindset, what's your mind state, and we'll talk about some of the things that you can do to control that or to drive that or to improve that. This is called the fulfillment curve, and it basically talks about how fulfilled you are in life and what drives that. So on the left side, as you go up the curve, there's survival. They're the things you need to survive. What do you think those things are? Food, exactly. What else? Shelter, exactly. So some of the basics. You have to have those things. And then there are the comforts. What do you think those might be?
Television.
Yeah, exactly. TV.
Internet.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys didn't say that one was survival. Yeah, but exactly. That would be a comfort. And then there are luxuries. I was going to give some examples. I was talking to my husband. I was like, what do college kids spend their money on? What do you guys buy that's a luxury now? Food. Okay, these categories all run together now. What else would be a luxury?
Spring break.
Spring break, travel? Clothes. What kind of clothes? What do you guys buy, seriously? Like what brands? I'm not going to tell you what was in when I was young because I don't want to date myself. What do y'all buy? Like, okay, I'll tell you. Like, people used to like Jordans and Coach bags. Cars. What'd you say?
Apple phone.
It's still the same? Oh, I'm not that old. That was did you say yes?
I was saying yes to Dr.
Oh, okay. Cell phones, exactly. Those things are all luxuries. But the point of this curve is that, okay, there's a point where it becomes enough, and then there is a diminishing return. So do you really need 5 cell phones? No. Do you really need 5 Louis bags? That might be a yes. I don't know. But maybe at some point it doesn't become as valuable, and so it just becomes overconsumption. What'd you say?
I was saying not on this income I can have.
Right. Now, once the red bars on the assets go higher, then the more Louis bags you need. No, I'd agree with that. Dustin will tell you how to get to the number where you can afford those Louis bags. But the point is that you get to a point where more of those things don't add value. And so we'll also talk about how you invest your money, how to live with less in certain situations so you can invest the money to use it for other more important things on the back end of life. And then here, these next few slides give you, go back one slide, some of the drivers of contentment. Contentment is just being happy with who you are, where you are in life, not looking for other things. There are a lot of different things that you can do. We won't recommend anything in particular. The bottom line is that you need to figure out what works for you, and you need to make sure that you are in a good place psychologically. You can invest your money, have all the money in the world, and then you're not mentally where you need to be. It's worthless. So just making sure that you're investing in your whole self, whether it's education, contentment, happiness, and health. It's a total package. So that's the whole invest in you concept. And then I'll hand it over to Steve. You're going to take the next section.
Thank you. Thank you, Lashonda.